Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Mornings of Mischief. I'm your host, Stone Loki, and today we are talking Suicide Squad, and I am joined by the one, the only Purple Valkyrie. Good morning, Purple.
Good morning, Loki. Good to be here. Thank you.
And thank you for being here in our Suicide Squad review. And I just have to say, right off the bat, this is a better film than we got the first time, but it's still kind of eh.
Yes. It's definitely. I think it splits a lot of people. I think a lot of people kind of were a little bit jaded by maybe the first Suicide Squad. They really hated Birds of Prey, so I think people were very cautious in this one, even though it's James Gunn.
It is, and God was Bird of Prey. Birds of Prey was horrible. Don't remind me of the scene in the police station where Harley Quinn is. I'm crazy. You don't need that to be crazy. You're Harley Quinn. You don't need junk to make you more crazy.
If anything, it should have calmed her down.
Yeah. God, good Lord. But this movie, they had an estimated budget of 185 million. So far, as we are doing this, they've grossed about $71 million worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
That is freaking horrible.
It really is. I think this has come as a big shock to them as well. I think they were kind of banking on this being basically because he's followed his kind of Guardians of the Galaxy template, only more adult, obviously. I think they were expecting this to be a much bigger deal than it's turned out to be.
You know, bringing in James Gunn, obviously, to do this movie was a decision that DC made. They said, you know what, we'll have him do it, and it wasn't per se a bad decision, but they're going to blame all kinds of things for this movie. They're going to blame the coup. They're going to blame people not trusting theaters yet. They're going to make all these claims, and it's the same claims we've already been hearing. But it's just not that great of a movie. I like the opening. I like the beginning of the movie. I love them using Johnny Cash. Of course, anytime I hear a Johnny Cash song in a movie, I'm like, yeah! And Folsom Prison Blues was perfect.
Yes.
It was absolutely perfect. The way they used it. At the beginning was kind of funny. Anytime you see Harley Quinn with a rocket launcher, you're like, okay, this is going to be good. And when you first see her and she's like, I had to go number 2. I thought that was kind of funny. There's some kind of funny moments to this, but then it's just like, there's some really stupid shit that happens in this movie.
There really is. And considering how big this cast is, I mean, we knew obviously there was no way that all of these people were going to be in the film for any length of time. I mean, it's the Suicide Squad, for goodness sake. And I agree with you. I did like the opening scene. I thought that was really well shot. I thought it was pretty funny. Very, very visceral, very violent.
and poor Captain Boomerang. Poor Captain Boomerang makes it through that first movie in one piece and then gets completely shredded as a decoy.
Yes. I was like, oh, rip. And Michael Rooker. I love Michael Rooker. He was barely in it.
He was barely in it. He's barely in it. Have this. You remember when we were doing the DC fandom event and they had all these people. Oh, we're going to have all of these people. Look at this huge cast. And you barely get anybody.
Oh yes, yeah.
You get Joel Kinnaman comes back as Rick Flag. You've got John Cena as Peacemaker. Now there was some funny shit with Peacemaker. I will admit that. You've got Idris Elba as Bloodsport. You got Michael Rooker as Savant. Viola Davis comes back as Amanda Walker. You've got Nathan Fillion, even though he's only in the movie for
another waste. Yeah, Sylvester Stallone, for goodness sake, doing the voice.
Oh man, yes, of King Shark. I just laughed my ass off at that. You friend? Yes, they're a friend. Me no have no friend. Okay, dude. Yeah, and apparently Gunn went to Stallone and was like, "Look, I wrote this role just for you in Suicide Squad. Can you do it?" And he was like, "Tell me about it." And Gunn was like, "You're this big, chubby, human-eating shark." And he was like, "Yeah, anything for you."
I really like that character. I was a bit on the fence. I was like, are they going to pull him off? But I thought, one, he looked great, and two, he was actually quite funny as a character. So I did enjoy him. As you say, we had Peter Capaldi, who was pretty cool. But the standout person for me was actually the one who played Polka Dot Man. Now, I can never pronounce his name correctly. Is it David Dalmatian, I think?
I think yes.
Yes, I thought he was actually really good, and I really liked what they did with the character. Given that he's just he's a campy throwaway kind of villain. I was surprised how well he was used.
And the story he tells about how he got his powers, I thought that was funny. It's like a universal, a multi-universe virus. I thought that was
Yes.
funny. I thought the way they pulled it off. My mom wanted us to be superheroes, so she did this, and look what happened. Yeah, I have to get rid of it every 2 days, otherwise I'll rip myself apart. It's just that there is some charm in this movie, but I felt like there was charm in the first Suicide Squad too. There was charm in that movie too. As much as people didn't like the Joker that's in that movie, I like the relationship with Harley and Joker. I think they nailed that spot on.
Yep.
Obviously, that is missing in this, and there were things that were charming about the first movie that are missing in this movie, and there are things that were charming about this movie that were missing in the original movie. So I think it's kind of like a hit and miss. But I did like the way they started it. The way they started it was really interesting. You've got you've got Margaret Robbie, you've got Flag, you've got Savant, you've got TDK, you've got Captain Boomerang, Mongol, Mailing,
Weasel.
Weasel. Sean Gunn is Weasel. That was like,
That was
and
weird.
you think, oh, they're going to go in and do this thing, and then they get utterly annihilated.
Yes, and I actually this is the first time I have been back in a cinema to see a film. My friend had an extra ticket. They said, "Would you like to go and see it?" I was like, "Yeah, great, thank you." And this film, at least over here, has caused a little bit of controversy because I know with you,
Really?
I know with you guys, it's a hard R rating, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you see a penis in this movie. Anytime you see a penis on television or in a movie, it's going to be a hard R.
It is, but over here, for whatever reason, an R rating usually would be an 18, adults only, but they decided to release it as a 15, which has caused a lot of controversy. And the cinema that I was in, a family somewhat unwisely decided to sneak their kids in, and
Oh.
they left after 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, you this is an R-rated movie. This is not a I wonder why they did that. It's really weird because usually your rating system is a lot more clamped down than ours is. So you might get away with some things in ours. You don't usually get away with that. Do you think they did that because of the current situation with the coup?
I think possibly. I think maybe they were a little bit unwise because we've had so many superhero films. I think maybe they've got a little bit lax with the rating, perhaps. Maybe because James Gunn was attached to it and people will automatically think Guardians of the Galaxy. It's kind of light-hearted, it's kind of funny. And it was in places, but it was also very, very visceral. And as you say, there is full frontal nudity in this thing.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. Plus, you've got some hardcore drug use. Taki Waititi, our favorite Marvel director, plays the rat catcher, and you see some pretty messed up shit there.
Yeah, you do. Lots of swearing. So I definitely would have put it as an 18. And so it's just a very odd thing for them to do, and it's caused a little bit of controversy over here. So I think maybe that factored in the poor performance as well. But I think, as you say, the coof is going to be the go-to excuse for any film performing badly for the next 12 months.
It's always going to be, that's always going to be the excuse over the course of the next year. And the theater owners, that they're not taking that. They're not taking that. They didn't do it with Black Widow. They're not going to do it here. Anytime you've got a release of a movie that is also releasing on digital at the same time, there's going to be an issue, because as soon as that movie releases on digital, there's going to be a torrent somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
There is
yes.
going to be a torrent, and with Warner Brothers and HBO Max, they want a huge cut of the slice, because they're not losing anything. They're making pure profit off of that digital home video release. So they're not going to lose anything besides theater profits. And the theater owners are going, you're killing us. You're chopping our legs out from under us. Not only do we have to pay you a big percentage of whatever we make off this movie, all we're really making is money off the popcorn and the drinks and the candy and the yada yada. You're gonna release it on home video, and within a couple of hours, there's gonna be torrents out there of this movie, and no one's gonna pay for it.
Mm-hmm, yes. And there's also the issue if they stagger the release. So if it comes out like it did a few days earlier in Europe than it does in the US, then there's bound to be multiple copies floating around. So they, as you say, they really can't win.
No, before your premiere even happens, someone's seen the movie. A large swath of people have seen the movie, making theatrical releases pointless.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the days of the big blockbuster are gone, or do you think it's going to take some time for it to build momentum again?
I think that as long as this is allowed to continue, this home release, you're going to get this, because this is the thing. Very few people are going to watch a torrent of a movie that's recorded on like a cell phone in a theater. Now you'll get that. You'll get torrents of movies that come out where it's like someone took a cell phone, put it on a tripod, stood in a theater, and recorded the movie. Very few people are going to deal with that. The only people that won't deal with that are people that absolutely will not pay to go see a movie. So they're like, screw it. I will watch this crappily recorded phone video that someone took. But when you have a digital release quality copy, people are just going to watch it in their homes. They're going to make their own popcorn. Remember the day when people used to sneak stuff into theaters? They'd sneak drinks, candy, popcorn, whatever. Why? Because they're trying to sidestep paying the theater an enormous amount of money for snacks.
I still do that. I once snuck in a rotisserie chicken.
God. How do you do that? What kind of a bag do you have to do that?
It was a big hold-all bag.
With beach towels on top to stay
Pretty
warm.
much, yeah.
God,
put my jacket on top of it. It's like, don't make eye contact. It's fine.
No, don't make eye. Just hand him the ticket.
It's like trying to sneak in contraband.
And you know, I want to support my local theaters. I want to support getting people back in the movies, because this whole crap, all of this crap has to stop. We need to be back in theaters. We need to be back in the movies, but we also need quality entertainment. And when you watch something like this, and at the end you're just like, nah.
Yes, I think my biggest problem with this film was, one, it was incredibly fast paced. You know, you don't get a lot of time to kind of have the scene sink in. It just jumps from scene to scene to scene to scene. You've got wisecracks, you've got jokes, you've got things blowing up, you've got people being shot. It's incredibly fast paced. You've got, you know, the one-liners that the characters are known for. And I think the second part is the plot really isn't that deep. You know, it's a very simple story once you kind of strip away the cast.
It's the Suicide Squad. We know what's going to happen. Most of the team's going to get killed. They're going to do something heroic at the end to save the day. It's the Suicide Squad. And part of the problem here is right now, as of this moment, we are so saturated with superhero movies, with anti-heroes, with all of the stuff we have out there. It's getting to the point where people are like, I don't really care.
Yes, I think we have literally, I should say, we've hit the point where people have had enough of superhero films. We've had more than, 10, 12 years now of continuous superhero films. If you go back to the beginning of the MCU, and, DCU have tried it, and other people have tried it, but we've also got the home releases, we've got all the animated series, we've got the TV shows. There's just an oversaturation of these characters, and they're not even the characters that we know and love from the comics most of the time. This one I thought was actually okay at portraying, what was on the screen from the page. I thought they did pretty well with the characterization. I thought the cast on the whole seemed like they were having a hell of a lot of fun. They certainly like the roles that they're playing. And it was even good to see, is it John Ostrander, who actually wrote the Suicide Squad? He got to play a little part in it as well. He's actually the doctor that injects Savant in the back of the neck.
Really? See, I did not know that. I had no idea about that. And the characters that are in here, for instance, I'm going to talk about Harley for a minute. This is the Harley Quinn we know and love. This is not the Margaret Robbie Harley Quinn that was in Birds of Prey.
Yes.
I don't know who the fuck that was, but that wasn't Harley Quinn. That was some alternate universe wannabe Harley Quinn that snorts white and acts like a complete dumbass.
Yes, she was much closer to the character that people love. The problem with the Birds of Prey was it was all about deconstructing the male gaze. It was all about lecturing the audience. This film doesn't lecture people. It just says, sit back and just go on this weird, wacky ride with us. Trust us, it'll be fine. I'm one of those people, I like her as Harley, but I still think she was overused in this film. There was a big section like in the just past the middle when it really slowed down and there was a big chunk of Harley, but it picked back up again, so I was fine with it.
Speaking of the middle of the movie, you talk about pacing and things I absolutely positively did not like. There is a scene in the middle of the movie where the guerrillas are getting them into the city and the resistance fighters. And I say gorillas and people are going to start thinking Gorilla Grodd's in this movie. No, he's not. They get them into the city, and while they're driving into the city, they start having this heartfelt fucking moment. I'm not watching this movie to watch Idris Elba and Rat Girl talk about their emotions and talk about heartfelt discoveries and talk about fucking what broke them as children. That is not what the fucking Suicide Squad is about. Why are these people going to a bar and having a party and acting like they've known each other for years, and Bloodsport's dancing with fucking Flag and Flag's dancing with Patriot, and you're like, what in the fuck is going on?
Was so weird and it was so out of place. I know that they were trying to kind of push the idea that, oh, they're friends now, they've learned to work together, but the whole point of the Suicide Squad is they're all individuals. They don't want to work together. They don't want to be here. They're forced to go on these missions because if they don't do as they're told, they get their heads blown up.
Now I could see Flag, Harley, Boomerang, and maybe Croc if they brought Croc back. Doing something like that, oh, it's just like last time. Remember what happened in, remember what happened in Chicago? I could see something like that. These people don't fucking know each other and they don't care about each other. And suddenly, out of nowhere, a switch has been flipped and they are the bestest buds ever. Oh my God, you're like my bestest friend ever in the entire world. Come here, kisses. And it's just, is this Gunn doing this? So like, oh well, we've been friends for the last fucking 5 years, ever since, we all got together in Guardians of the Galaxy. No, 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 no. I sound like Coach. N-O, no, no,
No,
no,
no,
no,
no, no,
no.
no.
And I'm sitting there singing that. Like, what the hell are you all doing? Why does Bloodsport need to channel his feelings to Rat Girl? Oh, why do you not like rats? Well, because my father trapped me in a box when I was a little kid and filled it with live rats that chewed on me. Why are you telling her this?
Yes.
Why? You're not her friend?
Who cares? Exactly.
Who
You're
the
here to do a mission.
Yes, who the fuck cares? You're not old friends getting together to have a drink. You don't want to be working with each other. He didn't even want to be there. They literally had to like blackmail him and force him to do it. And that, I thought, what was great when Viola Davis was like, listen, you gonna be in my Suicide Squad, or I'm gonna send your daughter to prison. Amanda Waller was the most even keeled part of this whole movie. And the
Yes.
only one from the original that even acted like she was in the original. Joel Kinnaman didn't act like he was in the first movie, besides that one moment with Harley. Hey girl, what kept you? I had to do number 2.
Yes, they really pushed this whole friendship thing, didn't they? I mean, even when she's talking to Boomerang before, Rip Boomerang, she's like, "Oh, hey, Boomer, good to see you," and then that's it. Nothing. It's like she completely forgets that she was supposed to have been friends with him.
Oh, why are you here? Oh, I robbed a bank. I wish with Mr. J. I would have loved that. Mr. J and I robbed a bank and I'm back. Oh, but no, it's and people, you know what? People can call me a hater. People can say I'm being too picky. People can say all the hell they want to. This is not that great of a movie. And if you want to plant your flag on this movie and be like, hater, Loki, you hater, by all means, do so. You fight to the bitter end over whether this is a good movie or not. I will let you, by all means. I'm going to do this review and then I'm going to forget about it because it was a very forgettable movie.
I'd agree with that. I mean, is it technically a bad film? I guess not. Like I say, it takes you on a wacky ride. But if you want a wacky ride, there are other films out there that does the same thing. This isn't a deep film by any means. It's very, very James Gunn. It's definitely got his humor all over it. But the cast seem to be having fun. They seem to be having a great time. My main gripe is because there were so many of them, it really didn't have any impact when they died. It's like, well, okay, bye.
Bye. And is that where we've gone? Are we to the point where we have seen so much B-level horrible shit come out that's just eye-rolling, that when we get a movie like this where you just sit back and you go for a ride, that it's like, I see people giving this movie great, it was great, it was fucking brilliant. No, it wasn't. There's a ton of the shit in this movie that's just like, wow, whatever. And then it has its bright spots. That does not make a fucking great movie. That makes a okay movie. That makes just go to the movie and watch it and don't try not to think about it too much and just have fun. Can you do that? Yes, you can do that. But that doesn't mean it's a great movie.
No, agreed. And just because we've now got a movie that you can sit back and enjoy and switch your brain off and eat some popcorn, it doesn't mean lower your standards when it comes to film. It's perfectly fine to be critical just because this is what they've given us. It doesn't make it a fantastic film by any stretch of the means. And I think even though both critics and people that have watched it seem to be on the level which is very rare nowadays, it still has not performed the way that they hoped it would, which I think is the most telling.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. It is not, as we said earlier. You estimate they spent $185 million on this movie, and you're looking at a $71 million return at the moment. This will not break even.
Mm-mm.
Suicide Squad will lose money. How do I know that? Because you take the budget from this movie and you pretty much double it. Okay, so that brings you into $300 million. So you're looking at about 350, $360 million for this movie with the ad revenue that was spent on it.
Mm-hmm.
They've made $71 million worldwide so far. That's
Yeah.
fucking horrible.
That is bad. And even through word of mouth, they're not going to be able to recoup the losses that way. Now, there will be merchandise because we know for a fact that, people love Harley and Harley sells. I'll be curious to see what the Blu-ray and DVD sales are like when those are factored in. But I think you're right, this film is not going to break even at the end of the day.
No, and I'm looking at something someone wrote right now, but this is the top DC movie ever made. If this is the top Detective Comics movie you have ever seen, um, God, I don't know what I can say to help you. I don't know what I can say to shake the cobwebs out. You've got the 80s Batman movies, you've got the 70s Superman movies.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the best DC movie ever made. I don't even think that this beats out the early attempts by Zack Snyder to do a new DC universe.
Mm-hmm.
So,
do you think that's kind of in the background of their minds with this DC? They were so desperate to emulate what Marvel did with their success that they were constantly chasing their template rather than trying to figure out a way to bring their characters to life in a unique way.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You absolutely. Marvel came out and did something, and this is before Disney bought them. That was revolutionary. They made an entire universe of movies and brought everybody together. Now, has something like this been done before? Yes, it has. Believe it or not, Marvel wasn't the originator of something like this. If you go back into Japanese history, you will find that many of their series have brought a lot of things together, including Godzilla. Godzilla, before it was bought out by Legendary, they made an almost Marvel askew series leading up to Final Wars in the Millennial series. So you've got all these different. You've got the Heisei series. You've got Millennial. You've got the God, I can't remember that. Showa. You've got the Showa era. You've got all these eras, and then they culminate in this big badass battle that's almost got in-game vibes. So Marvel wasn't the first person to do this, but they did it in a very unique way. DC trying to emulate that and trying to be like, oh, well, we're going to do something like you. They rushed it. They rushed it. They rushed it too hard. They did not have enough time to build that universe. And you can bring on James Gunn all you want to. He cannot fix that with one movie, and he did not fix that with this movie.
No, he didn't. He brought a new flavour to the DC universe, which, I think is a breath of fresh air, definitely. But as I say, he has just kind of followed, even with the whole use of music within the film, it is how he did Guardians. All he's done now is he's been allowed to ramp up the violence, the swearing, and, make it a lot more adult, which is the film he wanted to make, apparently, anyway. He's always wanted this kind of R-rated chance to do it.
And he got it. And there's some definite R-rated shit that happens in the movie. You got people being blown up. You've got people getting their heads chopped off. You got people getting their heads smashed. You got people getting their heads blown off. You got people being torn in half. You've got people being ripped apart. You've got people taken over by fucking starfish. You've got all kinds of shit. You've got a guy hanging there with his torso cut in half, but he's still alive, and it's freaky deaky. You've got full fronted nudity. You've got all kinds of weird ass shit in this movie, and it it doesn't save it. It still doesn't save it.
They threw everything, including the kitchen sink, at the audience with this
And a
one.
dong. And a dong. A
And a
kitchen
dong.
sink and a dong.
And boobs.
And boobs. Boobs and a dong. How do you like that? You still don't see Margaret Robbie naked, though. So you can forget that. Best chance to get that, go watch Wolf of Wall Street. There's some serious shit with her in that. But it's like, God, you threw everything you could at the audience, and it's still not a good movie.
No, and I can't, like I say, I know I keep going back to it, I can't really fault the cast on this one, because I think they were definitely giving it their all with the characters they played. I was really surprised with Idris Elba. I thought he played a great role as Bloodsport, and I didn't miss Will Smith at all.
No, I didn't miss Will Smith at all. No, I thought he did great. The fight he has with his daughter, I thought that was, believe it or not, I'm usually not the whole, oh, well, you know, dad and daughter have this issue and daughter hates dad and dad's this fucking scumbag. But in this instance, whether she realized or not, he was really trying to help her. He's like, you have a lookout. Oh, so you're not going to tell me not to do it? You're going to tell me to go do this? And yes, you have a lookout. He's trying to be a mentor in a way. It just comes out wrong.
She was going to do it anyway, so you might as well have backup.
That's right. You might as well have someone spotting for you.
Yes, and that whole, you know, father-daughter thing where they tried to kind of take it through the film with Ratcatcher 2, that scene that you were talking about where they're sharing their feelings, it kind of fell a little bit flat for me. It's you know, even though
why are you doing this? That's a question. Okay, you can do something heartfelt, but give us a reason why you're doing something heartfelt.
Yes.
And then there was no reason.
Yeah. What connection does Ratcatcher 2 and Bloodsport have together other than they're forced to work on this team? Because she, up until the end, really doesn't do a lot to further the story. She's just there. No,
she has some good moments where she whistles for a rat and it, you know, jumps in someone's mouth and kills them. You know, there's some cool shit. But then you're going back to the whole the flashiness of it, the flashiness of it, and the explosions. You're going the way of the Michael Bay explosions. Look at the explosions. Look at the colors, children. Ha 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 ha. Let's not pay attention to what's happening. Let's just cover it up with explosions and death. Now, there's a scene in the jungle where Bloodsport and Peacemaker are having this competition.
Yes.
I liked that. I really did.
Yes, that was pretty funny, especially the payoff at the end where they do actually get back to Rick Flag and realize that it was completely pointless.
Well, they just killed the good guys.
Yes,
you just realized you just wiped out the people that saved Flag. Flag's like, hey, what's going on, guys? Why did my people not alert me of your presence? Oh,
bad. Yeah.
Does anybody have any ice? Does anybody have any ice? I've got ice. We're in the jungle, and I've got ice. And you're just like, yeah. Okay, you just killed all these people and had a competition doing it.
Yeah.
And yeah. Good job, guys.
The heroes of the story, guys. The heroes, absolutely. But I did like that scene. I've got to admit, I thought it was pretty funny. I thought John Cena actually played a pretty good role. I don't think he's a great actor by any means, but I thought he was pretty good as Peacemaker. You know.
Yeah, and of course he gets to do some wrestling things in the movie. Of course he gets to do some wrestling. China's great wrestler. John Cena. And just because I said that, hold on one second. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here you go.
This program has been brought to you by China. Yes, China. Your friendly communist neighbors. We own all of your shit now, including your government.
Thank you so much, Valiant, for sending that. I love any chance I get to use it. Thank you, Valiant.
Yes, poor old John Cena actually managed to get back up off his knees after, was it F9, when he was apologising
F9.
for everything? Yeah. Shame. I
Drinking
don't.
that green booby milk.
Yep. So he's not exactly the most popular of people at the moment, but then again, neither is James Gunn. So what the hell? We haven't forgot about you, James Gunn. We remember what you did. So,
what did you think about Capaldi as Thinker?
I actually really liked him. I love Capaldi anyway. I think he's a great actor. I think he could have been used a little bit more. You don't really have very many scenes with him, and the scenes that you do have are very, very rushed. You know, it's literally they capture him and then they're on to this place that's called Jotunheim, where they're hiding this supposed weapon. They don't quite know what this thing is, but they want the Thinker to, to break them in so they can get rid of Project Starfish.
Starro.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about that villain?
Now, Starro the Conqueror, I was really surprised with. Starro is, let's just say, he's kind of a lame character for the most part. But I was surprised at how well they actually used him. They used him basically, I think they even say in the film, like a kaiju, where he's just stomping around the city, destroying things.
Yeah.
But I actually felt sorry for Starro. Starro didn't ask for any of this. Starro was just abducted whilst floating around in space happily, and he never asked to be brought to Earth.
Nope, he never asked to be brought to Earth. He never asked to be experimented on. When his okay, so to give you guys an idea of what this is like, a big starfish. So think big starfish, human-sized starfish at first. And then it has little baby starfish, and those little baby starfish attach to the face of human beings, and suddenly those humans are controlled by dear old Starro. So, and as the more people it controls, the bigger it gets.
Yes, and poor old Starro has been a prisoner for decades, with the Thinker being experimented on, and the people of this island that they're under the guise of liberating, they're all under the control of Starro now, and they're all kind of ambling around this huge tower with starfish attached to their heads, and they're all like a hive mind, and he's using them to kind of taunt the Thinker as they're walking through. I thought it was actually really creepy and well done.
It's one of those times where, like you said, you're kind of like, damn, the thing they're there to take out, it's not really its fault.
No, it really wasn't. This isn't a creature that's invaded and is hell-bent on conquering the world. It got abducted, basically, and has been experimented on, and I actually felt sorry for Starro. I'm not sure if we were supposed to, but I did.
And like you said, kaiju going through the city. Once this thing gets out, it's huge. It is no longer, the size of a human or a little bit bigger. It is massive. It is Godzilla size. And someone in the control room, like you said, it's a kaiju. Oh my God, we've got a kaiju. Giant monster. It's taking over people in the military. It's taking over civilians. And once it does this, from what they tell you, these people are dead.
Pretty much, yes. They're once these little mini, I suppose you could call them drones, I guess, that come out of Starro attached to the faces. That's it. It's like they've got little tentacles that kind of drill into the brain, and in essence, they're brain dead. They're just being controlled by Starro now.
And good old Peter Capaldi has been torturing these people, because anything one of these people feel, the Starro feels, and the rest of them feel. So they're all connected.
Mhm.
So if you cut one of them in half, the others feel it. If you torture one of them, the others feel it, and so on and so forth.
Yes, he really was a sadistic character. Kind of, I mean, obviously, if you know the character of the Thinker, you kind of saw it coming. But I thought it was actually pretty cool. I thought it was a very clever idea, and he turns out to actually be a very cowardly character when Starro finally breaks through and exacts his revenge on him.
Oh, when he does. Starro basically has like tentacles, like Purple said, and pulls him to him and has him like spread out in front of him. And he's like, I never meant any of it at all. I was just experimenting. I didn't mean to hurt you, blah, 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 blah. And then Starro just rips him into pieces.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Splat, and throws him up against a window, and he just basically splats against this window like a fly under a fly swatter. One of the things I loved though was King Shark.
Yes.
When I first saw King Shark, I was like, what the fuck? And then you actually see King Shark in the movie, and you hear Stallone, but I like this thing. It's some of the real funny parts of the movie, the parts that actually made me laugh, are King Shark moments.
I absolutely agree. I loved the bit that was shown in the trailer where he puts his hand up and she thinks he's asking a question and it's just like, hand?
Hand.
That's so stupid, but it's funny. And the other bit where they're going to basically sneak into the city and he says he's going to wear a disguise. And they're like, well, what disguise could you possibly wear? Fake mustache. I thought that was a funny line as well.
That's not going to work. Bark! I mean, you're like, yes, okay. This is Stallone, and it's great. And if one thing James Gunn can do and do extraordinarily well is pick a voice actor to be like, I want you to be this person.
Yes. And he visually, actually, I thought he looked great as well. I really liked the design of him. He didn't look too cartoony, even though that could have been really easy to do since he's basically a walking shark.
Yeah, if you've seen the Flash television series, you know how bad a king shark can be.
Mm-hmm.
It can be bad.
But I really liked him, and I really liked the scene in Jotunheim when he comes across those.
Oh my god!
Cutesy looking.
And you knew. Yeah. I knew. I was like, oh, what are they're gonna eat him. These things are gonna fucking eat him. And he's like, oh, friends, lots of friends. And then the glass breaks and he's like sitting there, he's like, friend, and it flips over and it's got all these teeth. It's like a maw of teeth. And they all start to latch onto him. No, friend. And you're like, yeah, I saw that shit coming a mile away.
I did as well, but it was still funny.
God, yeah, because they're like mimicking him as he's walking. So they're in this giant tank that surrounds him. There's this giant water tank that surrounds King Shark, and he's not in the tank. He's like outside of the tank.
Like
it's
an
like
aquarium.
Yeah, it's like an aquarium at the top of Jotunheim. And all these little cute little puffer fishes are in there, and they're all different colors, and they're mimicking what he's doing. So they're all coming together and mimicking what he is doing, and he just thinks it's the cutest fucking thing. He's like, yes, and yeah, no, dude, this is going to end very badly. This is going to end very badly, and that's how it ends. They try and kill, they try and eat him, and he ends up falling out of Jotunheim. And I thought he was fucking dead. He hits the ground, and it's like,
yes.
And they all shoot him. All these soldiers are there, and they're shooting him. And then he gets back up and starts eating people.
He takes an absolute beating in this film. He really does.
Yes, he does.
I was surprised.
But he's one of the best parts of the movie. You would think that other aspects of this movie would be the best parts of this movie. Idris Elba. Let's talk Idris Elba real quick. I like Idris Elba. When they were talking about, oh, we're gonna cast a new Bond and might use Idris Elba. I really like Idris Elba as an actor. I think he's a great actor. I liked him in Thor, in the Thor movies. I liked him. I had absolutely no problem with him being Heimdall. I think that he could play a great secret agent. I don't know if he could play Bond, but I know he could play a great secret agent.
Yes.
And I think this movie kind of proves that.
Yeah, he's definitely leading man material. You know, he's charismatic, he's good looking, he can definitely, you know, take control of a scene when he needs to. I don't like the idea of him being Bond, not because I don't like the idea of there being a black Bond. I just think he's better. He can do something so much better than just taking on a already established role. Absolutely. But I really liked him in this film, and I was surprised because I didn't know how I was going to feel about him being Bloodsport. You know, it's not a character I particularly cared about. I knew he was just a replacement for Deadshot because they didn't have Will Smith back. So I was thinking, you know, is he actually going to be a decent character, or is he just going to be a carbon copy of what we've had before? But luckily, he wasn't. You know, he was quite an endearing and believable character in this.
Do you think, and this is something I thought of at the beginning of this, and a couple of times during the movie, do you think that this role was written for him, or do you think this role was written for Deadshot, Will Smith, and then switched over to him? Because the scene with him scraping up the gum, I ain't doing it. I ain't joining your damn squad. I could see Will Smith being like, not again. You ain't getting me doing that shit again. And then the scene with the daughter. What the hell are you doing? You know, stealing shit. And why didn't you have a lookout or something? I could see the dialogue being written for Will Smith, even though it's Idris Elba playing it.
Yes, I could definitely see him kind of slipping into that role, those couple of scenes. But I think once we got to the main opening where they're on the beach, I definitely think that they had Idris Elba in mind. I think that by that point, Will Smith was off the table, and I think they knew who their leading man was going to be. But yeah, I could definitely see Will Smith doing those couple of scenes and pulling them off.
So overall, let's wind this down. Overall, give us your thoughts on the movie and what you would, if you 1 to 10, what you would give it.
Overall, like I say, it was great to actually see it in the cinema. Don't regret seeing it there. It was really nice for a change of pace to sit down. You know, I would have liked to have had more people there. There were probably, including myself and who I went with, 12 people minus the family that got up and left after the violence. So even 5:30 on a Sunday afternoon, it wasn't anywhere near maybe a third filled. And this was a small theatre that they were showing it at. I enjoyed it for what it was. It was wacky, it was silly, it was very fast paced. I like the cast. It's not a deep movie. Is it something that I would go back and watch? Down the line, probably. But it's not going to be one of those classic go-to comic book films that you think of when you think, you know what, I really want to watch a comic book movie. I would much more likely be going back to Tim Burton's Batman, for example, or as you say, the Richard Donner Superman movies, or even some of the more recent ones. You know, Wonder Woman, I would probably watch. But it was fast paced, it was frenetic, and it was actually kind of refreshing to have the level of violence, you know, the swearing, just to go balls to the wall basically with what they did, just to have James Gunn let off the lead and to make the film that he wanted to make. I'm just a little bit surprised that it hasn't done better, even through word of mouth.
All right. Score.
Out of 10, I'm probably going to be a little bit harsh on it, but I would give it a 6 out of 10.
So there was a lot of lead up to this movie. This movie was supposed to have been made after the first one. The first one did so abysmal that they held off, and they wanted to kind of give other opportunities, especially with Suicide Squad. That movie, or Birds of Prey, that movie sucked.
Yeah, it did.
It was just fucking horrible. I think that they nailed the cast in this. They absolutely nailed the cast. They had a wonderful cast. They had a wonderful group of actors come in to do the work. I think that it kind of lost its way in the middle. And because of that, because of how it lost its way in the middle, and because suddenly out of nowhere, this group actually gives a fuck about each other, all except for Patriot. Because Patriot's like, you know, anything for the cause. I'll kill anybody, do anything for. And it's funny that they had him wearing red, white, and blue.
Yes.
It's very, very, very speaking. He should have been wearing red and yellow. Because he's not an American patriot. But I get it. I get where they're going with it. I'm just saying the actor. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh yes.
That there are times it stumbles. There are times this movie stumbles, and when it stumbles big, because if I'm watching your movie and suddenly I'm brought out of my watch, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing this? There's no point of that. That's a problem. It's a big ass problem for me. I want a fun adventure. I want comic book characters, which I got. A little off, but I love Waller. Like I said, I love the cast. There's characters I love. And then there's just shit that I was like, oh, God, the rat thing. Taki Watiti, oh, my father, the rats kept us warm. The rats kept us warm at night and brought us trinkets, and then he OD'd on heroin. I'm just like, what the fuck do I care? Why are you telling me this? And I was really pissed. The Bloodsport didn't say that. Why the fuck are you telling me this? Does it look like I care? Does it look like I give a fuck what happened to you or what happened to your family or anything like that? There's one reason I'm here: to get done with this mission and keep my kid out of jail. That's the only reason why I'm here. I don't give a shit about you. I don't give a shit about him. I don't give a shit about him or him or him. And they lost a wonderful opportunity because at the end of the movie, he could have started giving a shit.
Yes.
And that may have brought something to the table, and a point where it's like, whoa, I get it now. I get it. I need to care about more than just myself or my kid. I need to care about other things and getting out of here, making a concerted effort to get out of here.
Agreed, especially with the way that the film was ended, basically, because it is Ratcatcher 2 that and Harley that take out Starro. I mean, the male characters help them get there, but they do push this whole, it's the ladies that actually manage to beat the beast. At that point, as you say, he could have kind of got it. It's like, okay, so we're supposed to be a team. We're supposed to care about each other. But that whole scene that you talked about earlier in the bus, it was out of place.
And it ruins character development down the road. So should I be over-analyzing this movie the way I'm analyzing it? Yes, because there are people that will say this was leaps and bounds so much better than all the rest of the stuff we've gotten. And I might say lately, sure, lately it's better. But overall, in the grand scheme of things, in the DC universe, this is not the best movie we have gotten. It's not even fucking close. And the pacing problems, the problems with some of the writing and the character development. I'm sorry, I'm with Purple. I'm going to give it 6.5, because it's just not a good movie. Will it keep you entertained for 2 hours? Sure. Will you go back and watch it again? That's the question I want you to ask yourself. Will you go back and watch this movie again and again and again? Because nothing lately I really want to go back and watch again. And this is included in this.
Yeah, this is one of the big sticking points that we had with Black Widow. You know, where is the replay value? You know, where is this? Oh, this is such a good film. You know what? I'm going to sit down and I'm going to throw this film on. I'm going to sit back and then I'm going to enjoy it again.
It's just not there. So why would you want to buy it? Why would you want to buy it and bring it home? if it's just rental quality, disposable entertainment, which I've used that term before, and I would use it again, and I'm using it again on this movie. This is disposable entertainment. This is, you watched it maybe in 2-3 years, you might be like, oh, I forgot why I didn't like this movie, and pop it in and then go, oh no, now I remember, and not watch it again for another 3 or 4 years until you forget again. And you get Alzheimer's to the point where you're like, oh, maybe I did like that movie. And you put it in. Oh, no, I remember now. Those kids and their damn dog. You ruined my plan.
Absolutely. And I think there is probably, as you say, going to be people out there that say, oh, Loki, Purple, you're being far too critical. You know, just have some fun. We did have fun, you know. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is don't get complacent with films. Just because this is better than what we've had doesn't mean this is as good as it's going to get.
Mm-hmm. You know how much shit I heard about Loki and how much better that Loki show was than the other shit we've gotten? And I'm like, no, it doesn't get off that easy. It doesn't get a pass because it's better than something else. I'm still going to judge it the same way. And in that way, that television show sucked. The end of Wanda sucked. Falcon and fucking Winter Soldier, 2 thumbs way fucking down. And then you've got this movie that's just like, it's meh. So because something is meh, I need to treat it better than the shit I gave 2 thumbs down to? That's still meh. Meh is meh.
Yeah, don't lower your own standards. You know, there's nothing wrong with having high standards in entertainment. It's supposed to be entertaining. That's the whole point.
That's right. It's supposed to be entertaining. And if something's not entertaining, then what the fuck's the point? What is the point? Thank you, Purple, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for watching this show today. I should be landing in a couple of hours. Yay! And off the plane, I will definitely check in with comments, all your comments. Thank you guys so much for leaving comments, for liking and sharing, subscribing. Thank you for sticking this out and listening as we talk about a meh movie.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. And thank you, Loki. Much appreciated.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Purple, for being here. Thank you so very much. You help make this content, and I am very much appreciative of all your contributions here in Valhalla. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you again, guys, for watching. This has been a lot of fun. But as you say, we won't tell you not to watch it. We will leave that entirely up to you.
You've got a show coming up. You've got a show coming up here in a couple of hours, don't you?
Indeed, I do. Yeah, and no doubt I'll probably be talking about the Suicide Squad. I'll probably come out from a different angle. Probably talk about the rating system that we had in the UK, and where we think it's going to go from here. You know, is the numbers going to pick up, or is it sadly going to be a flop?
I think it's done the best it's going to do, but we will leave it for Purple to figure out. I almost said tomorrow, later today, because of course it's pre-recorded. Thank you again, everybody, for being here. Take care. Take it easy. We will see you guys tomorrow on a best of series for Thursday, and we will hopefully be going live Friday. Everyone, take care. Take care of each other and be excellent to each other.
Absolutely. Have a great day, guys.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.